AI is a tool that should be used to enhance relationships, not to replace relationships. The percentage of your income that a luxury item costs you is less now than it was 10 years ago. AI can scan your foot and really understand where you're putting your weight, when you're rolling your ankle in, where you need support. One of the really unique special things about the luxury sector is that there is money there. So they have the ability to change the world with the kinds of processes they create. Make sure that you're living with the authenticity so that those who are under you can see what you're doing and follow it, and you'll be proud when they do.
Welcome, everybody, to another exciting episode of In the Making. Today, we are diving into a world where luxury meets technology, emotions spark loyalty, and connections redefine premium experiences. Yes, an episode like never before. Imagine a mother of four, two with special needs, balancing a career that takes her into the heights of global strategy and innovation in the luxury sector. That's Brittany Hansen for you. She's not just creating strategies, she's crafting legacies in the luxury space by helping brands forge emotional connections. From leading international sales to championing truth and transparency, Brittany is here to show us all the future of luxury and the human connection behind it. Buckle up for an episode that's as bold as her mission. Brittany, welcome.
Thank you so much. I am so excited to be with you today. You are amazing.
Thank you so much. I'm going to jump straight to my first question. When I was younger, I thought luxury was all about the price tag, and I didn't know how expensive things were. But then I remember walking one day into a store, and the salesperson didn't greet me. So I felt invincible. That day I learned that luxury isn't just about what you buy, it's about how it makes you feel. Brittany, how do you think brands can create that emotional moments that people feel seen, heard, valued, and understood?
That is really what's at the forefront of everybody's minds right now. Marketing is changing first and foremost, as it tends to do inside the luxury sector. Luxury does a really fantastic job when you go into the store, making you feel like a celebrity. You walk in, wait a second, and then you meet your own personal stylist, help you inside the store. But things are changing. Starting even in places like Dubai, people don't
Mhm.
want to come into a store anymore. They don't want that experience. They want to buy it
Yeah.
and have it delivered to them same day. So now you
Mhm.
have to create a digital experience that recreates what happens in the store, makes people feel heard, understood, and known without infringing on their privacy. That is a really delicate line that technology has to navigate right now to say, we know you well enough to cater to you, but not well enough to take advantage of you.
Yeah, and like literally balancing this dichotomy, right, through brands creating this virtual digital world for their buyers.
Yeah, and part of that is AI, which is the word everyone is using right now. And it can be utilized in really fantastic ways to help companies not just harvest data, because we all know data is the most important thing anyone can have right now, but to use it in the ways that actually make a difference to customers. We know right now, there was a study done recently that millennials, even in the current economic situation, are buying luxury at an unprecedented rate. And we also know that within the last year, many of them have jumped brands because they didn't feel like the brand that they were associating with
Yeah.
fit their values. 50% of those jumped to a more expensive brand.
Wow.
It's not about how much they're spending, it's about whether or not they feel that they align with that brand.
Right.
That is unique also because luxury has become more accessible, which maybe sounds weird to some people, but here's the thing. The percentage of your income that a luxury item costs you is less now than it was 10 years ago. So
I
it's
agree.
actually more accessible to people. They just have to connect with the brand, with what you're selling.
Luxury is connecting to people's heart more than their wallets.
Absolutely.
And you've written about AI driving sustainability and loyalty in the luxury market. So, what's one surprising way AI is reshaping the luxury experience that most people don't realize?
This is a fun one because there's a designer who's actually a friend of mine using AI right now. He's a
Uh-huh.
designer out of Italy and he creates beautiful high heeled shoes. He also creates men's shoes and golf shoes, but he's created an app that scans a person's foot and then recreates it in a 3D model inside of his factory. What that means is that he can provide unparalleled comfort to someone in a stiletto heel all day long. So his whole marketing idea is increase the ability for women to wear heels by 10 years because he can make it so much more comfortable for you. And
Wow.
it does work because I was with him in Milan during Fashion Week. We got lost and I walked 5 kilometers in heels and I didn't have any pain. Things like that are only possible because AI can scan your foot and really understand where you're putting your weight, when you're rolling your ankle in, where you need support so you can be comfortable. So that's one really fun way. There's ways AI makes a designer essentially create their entire line first, use predictive analytics to understand how many people are going to buy what they're creating, and then only order enough that they can meet supply and demand rather than creating the waste of extra labor, extra everything at a level we've never been able to do before. It's absolutely incredible.
Wow, what a fantastic way to use AI to your benefit in a way, like you just mentioned. Especially, I have never been a heel girl ever. And I remember you brought some of those shoes at one of our events, and they looked gorgeous. But the only reason I didn't put my feet inside them because I'm scared to even walk with more than 1.5 inches of heels. And that's why sometimes I cannot buy the best of both worlds because I always felt like I cannot walk in them. I've tried, but I've
Mhm.
failed. So now that you shared a little bit of story about the fact that the way these shoes are designed, it gives me a lot more hope that maybe even somebody like me can walk in those heels now.
Absolutely. His name is Enrico Queenie. You should look him up. He's amazing. I promise you can walk in him. If I can do it, you can do it.
Love it. And we will get his information in the podcast if any one of you are looking out for it. In a world of algorithms and automation, the brands that will thrive are the ones that matter the art of human touch. And you talk about digital emotional connection. So, how do we make technology feel human enough to try to connect with people?
So this is something that comes up a lot. AI is getting better. It's difficult for even a seasoned expert to know when AI has written something versus a person. What we have to remember is that AI is a tool that should be used to enhance relationships, not to replace relationships. So
Mm,
as companies start to put AI in, there will be a lot of blundering in the beginning. There's going to be mistakes. They're going to do the wrong things. It will settle for those companies that really value human interaction and customer interaction. And a lot of those are in the luxury sector. Will be using AI to gather important analytics and still making those meaningful human touches, using AI to understand you better so that their interactions are more meaningful.
that is such incredible, valuable information, Brittany. You are so, so smart and have the best of knowledge of different aspects of the luxury segments.
There's a lot of misunderstandings about the luxury sector. So I hope that anybody who has any questions is always welcome to reach out to. So
I remember I went to a conference and a woman told me, we are going to be sponsoring a couple of people, but if I see you in any of the Louis Vuitton bags, we'll make sure that you will never get sponsored. I felt offended and I was surprised to hear a comment that like that. I understand the perspective that if you are probably able to afford a luxurious item, you might not have the money that you don't need sponsorships. But if you look from the other person's perspective, maybe she's still a student, but she worked hard. Maybe she worked in a Chipotle for 2 years, worked really hard, and earned this one thing for herself. I may be right or wrong, but I wanted to get your opinion on this.
I agree with you. I do think it's a misconception about the luxury industry that owning something that qualifies as luxury or designer makes you a very specific kind of person. As I've worked in this industry, I've found it not to be true. You will always find people who are snotty or unkind, but that is across all genders, all types of people, the entire globe. The thing about luxury is that it's highly aspirational. We see people that we love and that we admire with these pieces and we get excited about it. Some of that is the luxury and the handcrafting that goes into a piece like this, right? Like a Louis Vuitton purse. They're a status symbol. That said, we as a society, instead of adopting a Louis Vuitton lifestyle, you can adopt Louis Vuitton into your life because what they're doing means something to you. Like Gucci off the grid, right? They've done something amazing. Vivienne Westwood's done amazing things. Some of it is that we vote with our dollars. Every time you make a purchase, right, you're voting for something. One of the really unique special things about the luxury sector is that there is money there. So they have the ability to change the world with the kinds of processes they create. If there's money there, they can afford to make a mistake. They can afford to make pivots. They can afford to do all the kinds of things that mom and pop shops cannot afford to do. And once it's tried and proven here, now it's a viable prospect for someone down here. So I would say there's nothing wrong with purchasing luxury. Hopefully you can still, feed your family and those kinds of things. But when we invest in meaningful pieces we know will last a long time and that matter to us, I see great value in that and something that is fun and aspirational and worthwhile.
Wow, what a phenomenal answer. It gave me such a big perspective from the luxury segment, and this was really vital to this podcast. I wanted to talk about the truth, transparency, and trust. In a world where everyone's screaming for attention, the brands that whisper the truth often end up being the loudest. And, they are the cornerstones of your platform in an era of greenwashing and performative marketing. How do brands genuinely stand out with authenticity?
The most important thing that a brand can do is tell the truth. I know that there are lots of different versions of the truth, right? That's what performative marketing is. It's saying, yeah, no, we're kind of doing it. We're taking the steps. What it really takes though is weaving your truth into the fabric of your company. So, for instance, a few years ago, DEI got really big and everybody made DEI promises. We're going to have this many leaders of minority groups. And then the trend kind of died and all these companies said, we've changed our minds. That said, Costco came out and said, we're sticking to our DEI, and here's why we've made money sticking to these
Yeah,
initiatives because it was woven into who they are and they really believe what they're doing.
right.
So companies have to adopt the truth, they have to be willing to take steps to change, publicize those changes, and take people on the journey with them. You can't just
Hmm.
say, I will be carbon neutral by 2040. You have to say, these are the steps we will take, and you can be with us as we go. Any audacious claims, anything that seems too good to be true, probably is. And we live in, it's been titled a post trust era right now. If brands want trust with the people who follow them, they have to say the things they mean and then do those things
Yeah,
and they have to show everyone that they're doing them along the way. We want proof. We no longer believe what you have to say.
that's so well said. Our world is so rapidly digitalizing, as we see in our kids' life daily. Where do you think brands may be falling short in building trust? I know you've answered this a little bit, but I wanted to get a better perspective from you.
So I think the other piece may be missing is that brands don't trust our consumers. So instead of telling us the truth and saying this is how we'll fix it, they hide it. I believe that one of the best things that companies can do is the same thing that I do as a parent. I did that wrong. Sorry about that. Here's how I will fix it moving forward.
Right.
That's what creates trust, the ability to say, I know what I did was wrong. I shouldn't have lost patience with you, right? I shouldn't have sourced products without actually knowing where they came from. Here's what I'm doing to make sure that never happens again so you can trust me as a company. Owning up to mistakes is very important.
So true. And I love how you connected the dots. I feel that your work also often bridges strategy with humanity. So, how do you infuse human values into a corporate agenda, especially in the luxury space?
The most important thing any business can do is realize that every strategy they impose has a human cost, has a human connection. If I decide to be more transparent, that affects my employees, it affects my consumers. If I decide that everybody has to return to work in office, that has a cost, right? So the most important infusion of saying corporate values versus personal values is to remember that resources aren't just resources. They're living and breathing. They have values of their own. And as soon as businesses really adopt that and remember, we're not humanizing business. Like, what we've done is take human culture and add business to it. It's those kind of finite differences that make a big difference, and you can see it in the brands. We know the brands that really value their employees, that really value their consumers. We see that. And
So
we
true. Yeah, truth and transparency aren't just marketing buzzwords. They are the new currency of trust that people want to rely on. I always tell my older son that technology is never going to replace humanity, but it can amplify it.
absolutely.
Learn how you can be more impactful when you have the best of both worlds. What you said was so beautiful because in a world of instant gratification, luxury is the art of intentionality.
Hmm.
And you got that word so beautifully and so perfect. I feel that owning a luxury brand is simplifying today's world and it's making it a better place where everybody is able to afford something.
And there's a circularity to high fashion now. I think places like Poshmark or the Real Real, where it's like,
Yes,
because I
yes,
invested in this really beautiful piece 5 years ago that I don't know if I want anymore, now you can have it at a fraction of the cost,
yes.
still with quality, still with the aspirational piece attached to it.
That's such great ways to buy your first luxury item too if you're not wanting to spend that money.
Yes.
I want to move to a segment where it's a personal space for you, and you've allowed us to enter that space. I've always thought, Brittany, that balancing work and family isn't about finding time, it's about making time. And in those moments when you're switching into boardrooms to bedtime stories, that real priorities reveal themselves. What is your secret to managing both so gracefully?
That is incredibly kind. And I think the first thing that I would say to anyone listening is if it looks graceful, it doesn't feel graceful. Like you said, starting two of my children have special needs. One also has a genetic disorder. There has been virtually no day that I have gone to bed thinking, man, I handled today so gracefully. How wonderful was today? There's really no such thing as balance. It's about the Pareto principle and knowing that I have 20% to give. Where is it going to matter most that I invest it? Oftentimes, when I'm at work, the most important place I can be is at work, focusing to make sure that I get things done. When I'm at home, I do everything I can to make sure I am actually present for my children. Now, the caveat to that is if I'm in a meeting and I get a call that someone's sick at school and my husband can't go because I've been really blessed with a partner where we meet each other, I'm going to go because my priority is my family. If I get to the top of the chain and I've lost my family, I've lost everything.
Right.
So it's that piece of being like, all right, where am I needed in this moment and really pushing to be fully present in those moments.
I completely agree. And it can never get easy for anyone, whether it's a mom or a dad. What lessons from your parenting journey have shaped your professional leadership style?
Wow, Nia, that is a good question. Um, so there's a few things off the top of my head. One is the ability to pivot, to look at what's working and say, that's not working. I need to change it and to do so on a moment's notice. Another is probably the ability to laugh at ridiculous situations. Having two boys on the spectrum, they will tell you exactly what is on their mind. And they will not think about any emotional ramifications. So you learn to laugh at things just for the sheer purity of a moment. And let's appreciate it while we're here. And maybe the last thing is leading through example. Make sure that you're living with the authenticity so that those who are under you and those who are following behind you can see what you're doing and follow it, and you'll be proud when they do.
Thank you so much for sharing that, Brittany. It's just so wonderful to hear these beautiful things from you. My boys are more on the calmer side, and I've never seen the loud actions in my house. Knowing from your journey with four kids and two with special needs, it says a lot of perseverance and courage. and still taking it forward. Being a C-level executive in a company is not easy. It doesn't come easy. I see women like Brittany who are able to achieve that while handling so many things in their life. They still come with that smile on their face.
That was incredibly kind of you.
I want to wrap up with short questions. What advice would you want to give to other women who are feeling like they're juggling too many roles to succeed in the business right now? There's a lot of talk about mental health awareness today, but as women, we are playing so many roles, we forget. We need to rely on, and understand that there is hope, and there are factors that you can benefit from in today's world.
Absolutely. I really like that. And I suspect for me, those two answers are kind of one and the same. What I would tell women who are working really hard, and as we balance self care, as we talk about luxury, there's something that across the board, women sacrifice when they feel like they don't have time, which is self care. I know the term has been somewhat overused, and people are like, well, I don't need to go and get a blowout every week. Great. Don't go get a blowout every week. For me, last year I got to the point where I needed to take vitamin B and vitamin D injections because my body has problems producing those. And I would not slow down long enough to take my injections.
Hmm.
That's self-care. But we tend to look at self-care as this luxury that we don't need. And if we're just strong enough, we won't need these luxuries. We don't have to treat ourselves in that way.
Right.
Nothing will run you down faster than if you don't eat and you don't sleep and you don't take care of yourself. And it doesn't have to look like a manicure. It doesn't have to look like shopping, but it could. And if you take a bubble bath tonight with your favorite drink in hand and your favorite podcast, and that means you sleep better and you're twice as effective tomorrow, it was worth that investment. Make sure as you're making time for everything and trying to balance everything that you're not last on your list, because health comes around basically once in our lifetime. If you ruin your health, you have to work to restore it. It doesn't just pop back. The older I get, the more I feel that, right?
I agree.
So make sure that you're taking care of yourself. You will be surprised what other things just sort of fall into place as you take care of yourself and take care of your family. That's the most important thing that I could say to anybody out there.
That was incredible, and that was very impactful. Thank you so much, Brittany. I absolutely loved every part of this podcast and the way you've addressed each and every question. Maybe we should go into podcast part two for Brittany. Let me know what you think about it, and that'll be incredible. But before we wrap up, I always love to do a rapid fire segment. If you're ready for it, it's quick and quirky.
I'm ready.
All right, the first question: luxury brands you swear by.
Gucci and Vivian Westwood.
Plus one for Gucci. I do have to say, I invested in these Gucci shoes like 4 years back. I have walked the whole of Italy in those. It's one of my favorite walking shoes. You won't believe it until you wear it. And I'm not getting paid for this. One misconception people have about working in the luxury industry.
That everyone here is snooty, I think is one, and also that it's wasteful. We forget that luxury is art. It's beautiful and creative.
Love it. AI and luxury, friend or foe?
Oh, friend, if it's a foe, you're using it wrong.
Yes. The biggest myth about balancing work and motherhood.
That there is a balance.
One thing you change about the luxury sector today.
Probably people's understanding of it. That it is something it's not. It's really this beautiful piece of society that's an investment, and it's like a lab where new ideas are tested out before they're released to everyone else. It's so unique and special, and I wish people understood that better.
Love that. And the last question: people who forcibly buy fake luxury items. What do you want to say about that?
I understand. I understand that because, like I said, luxury is aspirational, and they're like, I really want that thing. I get it. But remember, you are voting with your dollars. So if you get something that looks like something else, you have demeaned that thing to just its name. If I get a fake Gucci bag, it's no longer about Gucci off the grid. It's no longer about if it's great for walking across Italy, if I will be able to leave it to my granddaughter, right? It's just about what it says about me. And that's kind of the thing that people are trying to get out of society. It's about who you are as a person and what you are adopting into your life. So make sure your purchase that you're really voting with your dollars. Your dollars matter. You work hard for them. Put them to the best use you possibly can. If you really believe in a brand, invest in a piece. It doesn't have to be new. Go to Poshmark, go to the Real Real, go to Etsy, eBay, find something like that. It will make you feel better because you don't have a secret to hide, and it makes your values much more apparent.
I agree. It's also about being truthful and being authentic to yourself. When you buy something fake, you're lying to yourself. Next time when you plan on doing that, just reflect back on what Brittany just said. Brittany, again, thank you so much. You've shown us that luxury isn't about exclusivity. It's about inclusivity, connection, and purpose. From balancing a high stakes career to embracing the raw truths of motherhood, your story is so powerful as it is inspiring. For everyone listening, what's your luxury? Maybe it's time, maybe it's connection, maybe it's authenticity. Brittany just reminded you and us all that true luxury starts within. Until next Sunday, don't forget to like, share, follow, and subscribe. Thank you.
Thank you.